ke tse sebaka se go le amogela ke bidiwa Arafa. Let me take this opportunity to welcome BOTSWANA Agriculture Marketing Board. My name is Arafat Kitsokan. I'm the chairperson of this committee. I also happen to be the member of parliament for Molepola North. I'm going to allow my committee members to introduce themselves. Honorable Arun.
Good afternoon. I'm Phil Aaron, Member of Parliament for Ngami and a member of this committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. My
Afternoon. I'm a member of Parliament for Tonota. My name's Phyllis Dombo. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Gabriel Malebang, the Clerk of the National Assembly.
The three ages.
Good afternoon. My name is Kineilwe Senyarelo, Auditor General.
Good afternoon. My name is Tebuho Tomango, Accountant General. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. I am Tapapua Mutsumi from the Attorney General's Chambers.
Good afternoon. I'm Khama Wilibele. I'm the technical advisor to the committee.
Good afternoon. My name is Chris Mfila, Director, Parliamentary Services and Secretary to this committee.
This is for the oath.
Good afternoon. For the record, the names are Theo and Virginia Seleto for the office of the Parliamentary Council.
Now is your turn to the BAMB delegation to introduce themselves and the rules.
Good afternoon. I'm Lillian Costa-Skipper, CEO of BOTSWANA Agricultural Marketing Board.
We didn't get your name properly.
Lillian Costa-Skippers. Yes, sir.
We are going to need to increase so that we can hear properly. Yeah.
Okay. So my name is Lillian Costa-Skippers, CEO of BOTSWANA Agricultural Marketing Board.
Good afternoon, Chair, members. My name's Thabo Khosi. I'm the Head of Finance, BOTSWANA Agricultural Marketing Board.
Good afternoon, Chair and members. My name is Tumelo Kitumetse, the Head of Internal Audit for BAMB. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair and members. My name is Peho Aisam. I'm Head of Legal and Board Secretary at BAMB. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. My name is Buipulam Dleje. I'm Director Procurement Oversight for Ministry of Lands and Agriculture, and I've been delegated to provide procurement oversight services to BAMB.
Thank you so much. You have been summoned here. It's now time for oath, to take oath. You have been summoned to give evidence before this Parliament Committee on Statutory Bodies and State Enterprises. The evidence you will give before this committee will be on oath or affirmation and must be truthful in terms of the oath or affirmation you shall take before the giving of your evidence. You have the option to swear to the oath or on the Bible by putting your left hand on the Bible and with your right hand raised and declare as follows. I'll need to start with you. Rise. I Your name?
Lilian Costa Skippers.
Do hereby swear that.
Do here
By swear that.
by swear that
The evidence I shall give before this committee.
the evidence I shall give in front of this committee
Shall be the truth.
shall be the truth,
The whole truth.
the whole truth,
And nothing else but the truth.
and nothing else but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you. I,
Thabo Khosi,
do hereby swear that.
do hereby swear that
The evidence I shall give before this committee.
the evidence I shall give before this committee
Shall be the truth.
shall be the truth,
The whole truth.
the whole truth,
And nothing else but the truth.
and nothing else but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
I,
Tumelo Moses Kitumetse,
do hereby swear that.
do hereby swear that
The evidence I shall give
the evidence
before
I
this
shall give
committee
before this committee
shall be the truth.
shall be the truth,
The whole truth.
the whole truth,
And nothing else but the truth.
and nothing else but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you. I,
Beho Isam,
do hereby swear that.
do solemnly swear that
The evidence I shall give before this committee
the evidence I shall give before this committee
shall be the truth.
shall be the truth,
The whole truth.
the whole truth,
And nothing else but the truth.
and nothing else but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you. I,
Buipulam Dleje,
do hereby swear that.
do here swear that,
Do hereby.
do here swear that,
I,
Buipulam Dleje,
do hereby swear that.
do hereby swear that
The evidence I shall give before this committee
the evidence I shall give before this committee
shall be the truth.
shall be the truth,
The whole truth.
the whole truth,
And nothing else but the truth.
but nothing else but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you. On behalf of this committee, I welcome BAMB management to this examination session. Your attendance is highly appreciated. This examination is part of the Parliament oversight responsibility. We welcome your cooperation and thoughtful responses to the members of this committee. I'm not going to give the BAMB this opportunity to present. I will allow or invite the accounting officer to present the executive summary. Please limit your presentation to key issues such highlighting the mandate, financial performance, governance, auditors' reports, and BAQA, PPRA, and other regulators' reports. I'm only going to give you 15 minutes to do your presentation. From there, it will be the opportunity for members of Parliament or the committee to interrogate your presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon. The Botswana Agricultural Marketing Board is a parastatal organization established under the Botswana Agricultural Marketing Board Act, Chapter 7406, Act 2 of the 1974, mandated to provide a market for locally grown scheduled crops, including cereals, pulses, oilseeds, while ensuring that adequate supplies exist for the sale to customers at affordable prices across Botswana. In fulfilling this national mandate, BAMB serves as both a commercial trading entity and a strategic food security institution. Its responsibilities extend beyond ordinary market participation to include the management of the government strategic grain reserve, national grain procurement, farmer market access, price stabilization support, grain storage and handling, agro-retail services, and broader agricultural market facilitation. BAMB also manages the government strategic grain reserve of 70,000 metric tons, comprising 30,000 metric tons of sorghum, 30,000 metric tons of maize, and 10,000 metric tons of beans, which remains critical to Botswana's national food security framework. Over the reporting period under review, 2021-22 to 2024-25, BAMB operated under increasingly difficult financial, operational, and governance conditions. While the institution maintained its strategic national role, significant structural weaknesses progressively affected its financial sustainability, procurement integrity, internal controls, asset management, and service delivery capacity. BAMB continued to experience significant liquidity pressures, increasing credit to obligations, weak debt to recoveries, stock management challenges, infrastructure deterioration, and recurring audit findings. Over several years, liabilities exceeded assets materially, raising serious going concerns as reflected by both external auditors and management reports. The current administration, upon assumption of office on 5th of January 2026, found particular challenges. Delayed payments to grain producers, creating major trust deficits with farmers, weak procurement discipline and contract management, inadequate audit trails, and over-reliance on manual and Excel-driven controls, unresolved fuel management and fleet management and maintenance irregularities, incomplete records affecting supplier payments and creditor management, significant infrastructure risks at strategic assets, including Pandamatenga and Pitsani silos, delayed implementation of prior audit recommendations, limited modernization of stock monitoring, fumigation systems, and operational controls. These weaknesses did not emerge in a single financial year, but reflected accumulated institutional control failures over time. The current administration initiated a deliberate stabilization program focused on halting further exposure, restoring financial discipline, protecting farmer confidence, strengthening governance controls, and repositioning BAMB towards operational sustainability. Immediate corrective actions included emergency financing mobilization to support overdue farmers' payments, strengthening payment approval controls and enforcing full documentation requirements, escalation of serious governance and procurement irregularities for independent review, engagement with the Auditor General and law enforcement structures where necessary, review of strategic contracts and legacy obligations, improved visibility over grain stock management and silo integrity, and stricter accountability measures across finance, procurement, fleet, and operations functions. The institution is now being repositioned not merely as a grain buyer, but as a strategic national agricultural market anchor capable of supporting food security, commercial agriculture, and Botswana's broader economic transformation agenda. Community and stakeholders' engagement remains central to BAMB's operations through direct engagement with grain producers, millers, commercial farmers, farmers' associations, government ministries, regulators, financial institutions, and strategic buyers. Particular focus has been placed on rebuilding trust with grain producers affected by delayed payments and strengthening BAMB's role as a reliable national agricultural institution. Despite the challenges inherited, BAMB remains strategically critical to Botswana's food security, agricultural commercialization, and rural economic participation. The current administration focuses, therefore, not on preserving the status quo, but on restoring institutional credibility, financial sustainability, and operational integrity. BAM's long-term sustainability will depend on governance reform, disciplined financial management, modernization of infrastructure and systems, stronger market alignment, and a clear strategic repositioning of its national role within Botswana's agricultural economy. The period under review, therefore, reflects two distinct realities. First, the accumulation of significant institutional weaknesses requiring urgent intervention, and second, the beginning of a structured recovery process aimed at restoring BAMB as a credible, disciplined, and nationally effective institution. I think that's all.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Now is the turn for members of the committee to ask questions. Honorable Sidombo.
Yes, sir. In your submission, you talked of, in your submission you talked of repeated is it? You talked of the board, that there is no board of directors. Given the current status where BAMB has no board of directors, what has, how that has impacted the oversight role in financial management?
Thank you, sir.
Okay. How soon can the board be appointed to ease the organization's operation?
Let him ask all the questions, then you note them. Yeah.
Okay. Would you say this is the reason behind the reason why? The reason behind the many cases of possible theft and corruption were because BAMB is operating without a board? If so, have you engaged the relevant ministry to appoint the board as soon as possible? Since the current admin reports that critical records were missing or incomplete as of January 2026, what action is the board taking against for those administration lapses? And the last one, how did the board of directors fail to detect or mitigate issues as they were accumulating over the review period?
You can answer.
Thank you very much for the questions. The past board expired on the 30th of November 2025. I started on the 5th of January with an absent board. The ministry had committed to work on the appointment of the board as of January. Unfortunately, it took 4 months until the appointment. I received Friday the confirmation that the board was approved, the names, finally, and letters of appointment were ready, and they are leaving the Ministry of Lands and Agriculture today. The fact of not having, we all know the risks of operating without a board. The problems of BAMB was not caused by the absence of a board in the past 6 months. Those are legacy issues that have been happening, in my view, over more than a decade and a half. The fact that now we have a board that has been approved and is going to be officially appointed this week relieves great deal of burdens for me. As a CEO, there is so much power that I can put in practice in putting order in BAMB's structures. So the lack of oversight is visible. I cannot point out where the problems started, but according to the reports that you all received, it's very clear that it's not in this financial year, and it wasn't in this period of 2021 to 2025. We need to rebuild a new entity. We need to treat BAMB as a business. So I am hoping that the board that has been appointed is strong enough, is a business-minded board that knows how to turn around situations as critical as BAMB. Most importantly, I hope the new board will share the vision that I carry for BAMB. BAMB is a very important, critical, not even important, it's critical for this country and needs to be treated and seen and managed as such. I hope I have answered your questions.
Yes, ma'am. You have answered them. You can proceed to the next step.
Honorable Kwapa.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I've got a series of questions that I would want honest answers. The first one being that the current administration has initiated a stabilization program. So my question is, how are you measuring the success of this program against the specific recommendations provided by the BAWA in the past? So can you provide the committee with a metrics showing each recommendation, its status, and the officer responsible for its implementation? The second one would be that from 2022 to 2025, BAMB has incurred a total loss of 112.4 million. So what are the measures put in place to try and make profits, or at least to make sure that there aren't any more losses for this year and in the coming ones? The third one is with liabilities materially exceeding assets for several years. What is the specific timeline for achieving solvency? And what guarantees does the board have that the emergency financing isn't merely a stopgap measure? Fourthly, what measures are being implemented to improve data recoveries and prevent the catastrophic cash flow failures that led to the trust deficit with farmers? Fifthly, given the infrastructure deterioration, for example, the Parliamentary and Pitsani silos, what is the estimated cost of restoration, and how is this to be prioritized against daily operating debt? And 6 is, what is the current status of these 2 silos, the ones at Pandamatenga and Pitsana? And maybe the amount of the grains that have been damaged, the value thereof. And the other question is, from the grains that have been purchased from the farmers, where are you taking these grains? I'm asking this because I've seen it on numerous occasions that, most of the grains that are distributed to farmers during the plowing season are the ones that cannot be grown again for the second time. And what measures are in place to ensure that the traditional seeds or traditional grains are well preserved and planted as opposed to the current seeds that are genetically modified? That is all, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honourable Member.
Thank you very much for the questions. I'm going to give a little bit of context. In my second week, with regards to the metrics, and how aggressive measures had to be taken in order to control the bleeding of BAMB. In my second week, I decided to stop every single payment done to suppliers because simple paperwork trail was not followed. The very first payments that came to my attention was with regards to fuel consumption. About 300,000 pula came to my attention to approve. When I requested reconciliation, the paperwork, because several of the staff members have the tags that allow them to go to the petrol station to fuel the cars, no one has ever done reconciliation. Upon that, I requested the report from the Department of Logistics to learn what was the fuel consumption per vehicle and also to learn the fleet size of BAMB. Cutting a long story short, because of that one first payment with one transaction without the right paperwork, a series of irregular activities was unearthed. From that day onwards, that has not been a structured approach, sir. Has been actions taken on professional experience, done very rapidly in order to stop the potential bleeding of funds from an already broke organization. In that time, I learned that the revenue that BAMB was surviving from was from the sales of products sold in the retail, in the branches, coming mostly from the consignment stock that BAMB has been selling, but not paying the suppliers, but using the money in order to pay salaries and other operational costs. This strategy has been probably in place for over 18 months because our creditors' account goes back to 24 months. And that is how, and then in March, April, we had the financing approved by the Access Bank, which was the funds pre-approved by one resolution from the previous board. That was money in order to pay the farmers and pay the suppliers that we have now, which is about 66 million pula. So, sir, This was just one case to demonstrate to you that what has been done in the past 126 days of the new administration is to contain losses and start in a very abrupt way, bringing discipline to internal procedures that you'd find in any normal entity, but not at BAMB. With regards to the losses, I will have answers to some of your questions and some others I won't. BAMB has been losing and having bad results for a long time. It has been presented in numerous audit reports for numerous years. It has been recurring. Action has not been taken. The lack of accountability is something that we need to look into very seriously. I've never seen a business that can go on and on in having losses and having serious, critical, brutal even notes from auditors and actions are not taken. And as I said, right now, we need to rebuild it. We need to mitigate with very acute actions, but also we need to instill values. Go back to basics is what I keep saying. We need to have values instilled in the team. BAMB currently employs 358 employees, people, across 40 branches. Bad habits have been allowed. We need to fix. Having the board is going to help me great time because we will need to revise the structure. We need to revise the heads of departments. We need to revise the activities, even the business model, because BAMB can make money. BAMB is the only agribusiness in this country that has the distribution that we see. No other agribusiness has is spread across the nation as we are. Looking at models in other countries, I haven't seen agribusiness that does loss. So we will be in need to look into all details of BAMB. With regards to the emergency funding, we are still in big trouble. I signed in March the largest private bank loan in the history of BAMB, 257 million pula. It's a one-year facility to be paid off in 12 months. Everything that BAMB has, or let's say almost everything that BAMB was put as guarantee for this facility, from buildings to grains. And that is covered the payments to the farmers now, the outstanding balance of 26%, plus we have another 66 million to pay to creditors now, and we had to pay Bank Gaborone in order to move the obligations to Access Bank, and they've left over, which is about 70 million, more or less. I want to manage it very well so we can restock the shops and start doing business in the most correct way. the branches are not run as business units. They have been receiving stock, but they are not. We don't know the P&L of the shops. Retail, as we all know, if we see supermarkets, each of their units they are responsible for. They run as independent units, and they need to show that they are relevant. Otherwise, they are shut down. It's not the case of BAMB. BAMB has 4 activities, 4 businesses, I would say. Is the bulk grain, is the retail, is the milling plant, and the feed mill. And the lack of controls of stock, lack of controls of management, financial, lack of reports, it's excruciating to learn about it. So right now, the money that we have in the bank account is not considering the new crop that's coming now. We have already a good forecast of the new crop coming in, and we don't know how the farmers are going to be paid, because the money that we raised now needs to be paid back to the bank. First, we need to sell it's the first time that BAMB started a year with stock of grains because of the bumper harvest that we had last year. And we have a new crop coming in. BAMB has not been doing marketing, as we say. So those are all the steps that we need to address in order to pay what we own and raise the new funding that we need in order to carry on. Several opportunities have been identified, but I need to align myself with the Ministry of Finance as well with the Ministry of Agriculture, Lands and Agriculture, in order to see what's the strategy of the government as a whole, because some of these funds are international. Opportunities are there. We just need to keep looking and be aligned to approach them. With regards to the infrastructure deterioration, so BAMB has been neglected. You go to Pitsani, the silos were decommissioned. The warehouses have not been maintained. Always the responses that I got over these past 4 months is there was not money. There was not money. The budget was done, but there was no funds. Certain things can be corrected with sandbags to close the holes on the floor to stop rodents from coming in. Other things, you just need a welder to fix the gate that's not closing down. Other ones, you just need to hire 4, 6 casual laborers to clean up the grass around the fence. Discipline. So over time, the little hole becomes bigger, the grass grows higher, the roof leak becomes bigger. In my office right now, there is a small meeting room just next to my office. When it rains, it pours rain like a fall, and it has been like that for the past 7 years. If you come for a meeting with me in my office, you're going to be smelling mold. How to explain that level of negligence? So that goes from a branch that becomes inundated over rainy season to the office of the CEO that becomes inundated as well, to the silos that is supposed to be maintained to hold hundreds of millions of grain. We need now serious investment, and I was looking into the how far is the public-private partnership, because we will need partners who understand the grain business to come and help us to strengthen our structures, because the bones are there. When BAMB was initiated and built, all the necessary structures were planned. Over time, it was forgotten. So I had already conversations with 2 international potential investors who have been investing in Tanzania, Uganda, Ghana, and I need to continue conversations, but I need to be aligned with the Ministry of Agriculture and the Ministry of Finance, as I said before. The current status of Panda and Pitsani. Pitsani, it's an interesting case, and I'm going to brush through the case, and if the committee needs more details, I will disclose outside this committee. But there has been recently, over the period of time, 2021-2025, an attempt to do the refurbishment of the silos. About 21 million pula was paid to an international company to fabricate the materials necessary for that, for the refurbishment, for that exercise. That was done in 2024. BAMB was supposed to pay the final amount. It was about 17 million pula, and didn't pay for over a year. So I inherited that as of January. As I have been liaising with the new head of legal and the director of procurement of the Ministry of Lands and Agriculture, who have been fundamental in my education about the Public Procurement Act and all the implications in not following it, we engaged the contractor company, the company that has been liaising with the international company, and we learned that out of the 70 million that we were still owing them, 4 million pula was ballooned. So we brought in the company. I am usually not this calm and controlled as you can see me here. There was a moment in the meeting that I pointed the file and I said, this is a criminal case, economic crime, and we need to come here, we need to find a way to mitigate, because we cannot lose the materials that is still sitting across ocean. We need to have this material here, but we have identified A, B, C, and D. So, unlawful procurement has become a norm at BAMB. I say that I have problems from the toilet paper to the grains sitting in the silos. And it's from all sizes. It can be as little as 4,000 pula to millions, like I stated now. In that particular case, from identification of from the moment that the project was designed to the moment that the first payment was done, only 3 months. So there was an attempt of refurbishing bit sunny, but done in the wrong manner. How am I going to find, and it's an overall project of 52 million. That was what we could find out, because not even a contract is signed. When it comes for Parliamentary, there is still unresolved issues between CESA and BAMB. The new silos do not have a monitoring software. There was not a fumigation system installed before the grains of last season got in. I have been requesting information I'm not getting. They are very upset with me because I'm being open to speak about it. The old silos in Panda, they need attention. The old silos have 2 elevators. One have been broken for more than 10 years. We are cleaning up. My action is, what can we do with the resources that we have at hand? So cleaning grass around is something that we can do, and that stops pests. So let's do it. Fumigation, let's push for the installation of fumigation. They finished this past weekend. Hallelujah. They did and we hired a company from South Africa specialized in fumigation, because the infestation of weevils in Panda was severe. Prime grain with no control of pests, wrong combination. So the fumigation finished this weekend. It was the most aggressive, complete, professional fumigation we ever done. And we go like that. So is stopping the bleeding, is fixing the systems, is investing where we can with the resources that we have. And very soon, I truly believe that results are going to start showing. I say that the way that I measure is 126 days, and I haven't given one step backwards. Even though to give one step in that one day feels like climbing the Everest mountain, but at least we reach there. The grain coming from the farmers. Farmers are fully 100%, okay? So it's the last point. The farmers are fully committed to selling and supporting BAMB and selling the grains to BAMB. For the key grains, that's sorghum, maize, cowpeas, millet, farmers are ready to deliver to BAMB, but there is a big problem that we need to bring to the tables of discussion. A farmer is a businessman like anyone else. They are selling their grain, they are signing a contract to sell to a business, BAMB, that does not have liquidity. The only thing that they want is the insurance that they will be paid on time. Last year, we were supposed to be celebrating as a nation. It was a huge bumper harvest. Only in grains in Pandamatenga and Tule Block, more than 100,000 tons of beautiful grain was harvested in this country. BAMB did not have money to pay the farmers. The profits were eaten up by interest rate of the banks because of overdrafts and penalty fees. So small farmers are suffering the most. When a small farmer learns that out of 4 hectares, he can run a commercial farm with the right seed, with the right grain, the right market, we turn the engine of agriculture in this country. Subsistence farm, you do it in half hectare. Commercial farm, above that. There are models, there are markets, there are grains that we can grow here in the right way, for the right market, for the right price. But we are not working integrated. We are not working integrated with the Ministry of Lands and Agriculture. We are not working integrated with the farmer. We are not working integrated with the markets. The potential is here. I had, just out of curiosity, I had some farmers visiting the country 4 or 5 months ago. They enter in Botswana and they asked me, Lillian, do you see what we see? I said, yes, I do. Everything that we see as challenge, that we cannot do here or do there or because of this or because of that, solutions already exist. Farmers, small farmers are thriving and living good lives in other places. Why are we not? So, sir, there are several challenges, several deficiencies, but all of them are have a solution. We just need to find a way to integrate parts and work together. Thank you.
A follow-up question.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a follow-up question. Would you say with the current staff at BAMB that you have at the moment, do you think it is okay for you to proceed with it or just to get new staff altogether and just then disperse all of them? Thank you.
No, sir. As every other place or company or situation, you always have good and bad people. I say that BAMB is full of talents. I have identified myself talents there. Sometimes they are just overlooked because they are too smart, because they know too much, because they can do more than what they appear to be doing. So, yes, a reform is needed. We need to look into BAMB as a business, but it's not the case of dissolving everything and starting from ground zero. No. We have the strong pillars, including our people.
Thank you. Honorable Fraser.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Thank you, Ms. Kefas and your team. And I think you'll have to also give them a chance to answer where they can, so that you don't repeat yourself in all the questions that will be asked. So my question is, in fact, I've got a few questions, but I will start with this one. BAMB is mandated to manage the government strategic grain reserve, which is of 70,000 metric tons. That is comprising the 30,000 metric tons of sorghum, 30 is of maize, 10,000 is of beans. Is BAMB currently meeting this target? That is my first question. Given the decline in revenue from 407.4 million in 2021-2022 financial year to 333.5 million for the 2024-25 financial year, how has the board adjusted its operational model to ensure that Botswana's food security is not compromised? The other question is, how is BAMB responding to increased competition from private millers? And what specific steps are being taken to reclaim its role as the market leader of grain procurement? If you, I think you'll agree with me that if you go to the BAMB, I mean, all like you were saying, you've got 40 branches countrywide. If you go to those branches countrywide, you'll agree with me that not everything is there. When you get there, you'll see your workers seated, and you ask them, do you have sorghum? They'll tell you, no, we don't have anything. You go, even here in Gaborone, you don't see anything. You go to Francistown, you want beans, you want food for the farms, for farmers looking for food, you won't find anything. So with this, with the competition, we've got AgriChem and some other competitors. What plans are there? You just said you have been here since January the 6th. So I just want you to give me an update as to what is it that is there that you have got in place that can transform BAMB. The other question is, how does the current administration plan to align BAMB operations with the National Development Plan and Vision for 2036, given the reported absence of current validated strategic documents? I just want to hear the plans that are there that can resuscitate the BAMB. When you are answering here, you did say when you got in around, I mean, when you got into office, farmers were not paid, and there is a loan that was approved, and you had to get that loan to pay the farmers, which I agree with. You had to do that. But I want to know, how are you going to make those payments? How are you going to pay back those loans to the state bank? If I'm not mistaken, you said you Bank Gaborone, that is where Access Bank, that's where you got the loan from. I want to know how are you going to pay, or how will you be able to pay back that loan? And maybe the last one will be, you have been, like I was saying, and I know you are from, you are not, I think I'm correct there to say you are from Brazil, and which I feel, and I know Brazil to be a better farming, they've got better farming strategies as compared to us. To transform this organization, the BAMB, what plans are there? What plans do you have in place? Because Botswana are anxious. They want to know what is it that BAMB is going to offer that can change the organization. And the other thing, you have got a number of workers. That one I know. That you did say something of the fuel, that there was too much fuel consumption and all those other things. But I mean, when you're talking of the challenges, and you have got a number of workers in your organization who were truck drivers somewhere, but now I know they are seated because the business is not doing well. That means you are just paying them. You are just paying them. I just want you to highlight to me, how much are you paying to these workers that are just coming that are coming to work but not doing anything, that are just being paid? And that transformation, that is what I would want to know. And again, like I was saying, just give them a chance to also answer a few that I've got. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. I'm going to pass to the head of finance to explain, to answer the difference, the decline in revenue, and how the food security is not compromised, and then according to what he answers, I can complement with my point of view. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, members. Thank you, CEO. Just in short, through you, Chair, in terms of revenue performance, as we highlighted in the report, the greatest challenge for BAMB in the period under review was largely that BAMB was not receiving enough grain for its sustenance. As it was highlighted by the CEO, BAMB runs, though she highlighted 4, BAMB runs largely 2 revenue sources, being the grain and revenue from retail. And by mandate, the greatest source of revenue, the mix is supposed to be 80 to 20%, grain contributing 80%, and retail comprising of veterinary and agronomy or veterinary. The items that are sold at the shops should be contributing about 20%. But there has been a compromise in terms of the model itself, the business model itself, and that in years where there is no grain, that means the shift moves from the other aspect of business, which is retail, having to now come in and support the business. And there has been a challenge there. And what has been done in the past or previously was that the board that whose term ended on 13 November had suggested or had written to government by and large in trying to change the business model of BAMB. With the main aim being to make BAMB a grain aggregator, and bringing in the question of how BAMB is dealing with competition. Being a grain aggregator, as supported by the BAMB Act, says that BAMB is supposed to be providing a market for all the grains and be in between the farmer, the miller, and the farmer and the miller, or the farmer and the consumer, being a sole importer and be a sole exporter of grain, making sure that it provides pricing that is equitable to all the farmers. In that way, and the way it was envisioned, one would believe when this act came into being, at that time in 1974, was that when BAMB is there, it will provide equitable pricing to, or equitable contribution to the whole value chain. But things changed over the years, wherein we see retailers or millers who are supposed to be buying from BAMB now going straight to the farmers. So that has greatly affected the capacity of BAMB to raise enough revenue to be able to meet its operational expenditure. As you can see, over the years, the gross profit has remained stagnant at around 60 million, wherein the operational expenditure is well above 100 million, in which case in 2023 was about 140 million. So in the last board submission to the ministry, there was a move towards making sure that BAMB attains its aggregator status, which in their view or in the view of the management then was that would change and help the current BAMB in the status. Thank you, Chair and members.
I would like to complement. We need to take consideration other aspects of generation of income. I want you all to think with me. If your branches are not, imagine that you have a business, agribusiness, and you have several branches like BAMB, and stock is not controlled on daily basis. Security is compromised because the procurement was not done properly. Lights are not maintained, so everything is dark. I have received several from the day of my appointment. People from Panamatenga just telling me one thing: ma'am, stop what's happening at Panamatenga in the middle of the night. We had a stock count now, end of March, for our current external auditing exercise. I still have to receive the confirmation of the numbers, but it's a two-digit, potential two-digit million already lost in grains. BAMB can make money. And BAMB probably made a lot of money in the past few years. But the lack of controls and accountability have been massive. And if we do not accept the fact that lack of controls, lack of following procurement regulations was not done in the past few years, we are going to be sitting here until next year debating why BAMB is still in the situation that we are right now. First, we need to be very honest in accepting the problems that BAMB has from inside out. When I say BAMB is bleeding at ways that you don't even imagine. I'm going to give you an example, and that is going to answer the fuel consumption, the drivers, why I'm paying them. Out of that one invoice, we found out that BAMB doesn't have a contract with the distributor since 2018. That 218 active tags were still in the system of that company. That trucks, the consumption, the average consumption over the past, on a given transaction for a truck can go 80 liters per 100 kilometer. And this was because that trucks that have been parked for a long time because of maintenance issues, when we look at the transactional report, we see that they have consumed diesel, over the time that they have been parked. What would you do?
I said they have consumed diesel while they have parked.
And that is one. So what do you do when you sit there and you ask one question, two questions, three questions? You stop the fleet right now. Everything is grounded until we finish. I cannot bleed anymore. I cannot have a bill of 300,000 pula every month, just like that. Then you ask, logistics, please give me your report. You cry to see the type of spreadsheet. You look, there is no license plate for the truck. There is no kilometers run. So I ask, how much of maintenance is done of, how do you do the maintenance of those trucks? There is no logbook, there is no history of maintenance. But I have a pile this much to pay mechanical companies. You look through, the job card is incomplete, the quotation, the RFQs are incomplete. And I say, okay, and there is that change of shocks. Change of this, okay? Who checked if it was really done, if the service was done, if the shock was changed? No one. No one. I only found out this because there was a truck accident in Francistown in February. 7 p.m., a truck is driving, a wheel fell off. Hit a woman in the side of the road. Good Lord, she didn't die. She was hurt. Immediately, take her to the hospital. We pay the bill. We have to. But how does a wheel of a truck falls off? How many nuts are there? Negligence. Lack of accountability. And out of that accident, it was when I learned that only one truck out of 16 was operational. But over 2 months, January and December, a total of 14 took fuel out. What do? You stop the fleet. You contact the fuel distributor, and you put everybody sitting there. Unfortunately, I do not have all the resources. The Department of Human Resources completely compromised. I asked you to take action. No, it's not like that. Let's talk. What is to talk? So, trucks are parked. Out of that exercise, I learned the following. Another report comes. In that same report that was so poorly done, there was one critical information. A truck, and it was a random check. Say, okay, let's look at this truck. 10th of February, 34-ton truck left Pandamatenga to one of the large branches, transporting sorghum. Each truck, 34 tons, carries 720 plus minus bags of 50 kgs of sorghum. 20th of February, 2 trucks, 34 tons, the same, from Pandamatenga to the same branch. In total, 2,160 bags of 50 kgs were supposed to be delivered in that branch. I called the IT department to open the new retail system that we have there in place. Please check on this branch, see if this stock was put in upon delivery. Stock negative. Do you know how much that 3 trucks is worth? 450,000 pula. And that is one random check that I did out of an accident, out of one invoice. Every single piece of paper that comes to mind, I'm not scratching, I'm not looking for trouble. I want to work, I want to grow, I want to strategize, I want to make partnerships. My work has been halted because every single piece of paper that comes to my desk, I open a Pandora box. So the drivers need to be sitting there. I stopped movement of grain. I stopped the fleet. Even to consulting the director of procurement oversight, I explained my problems. She said, no, Lilia, you can do this, you can do that, you can, I need to act fast. So I said, okay, I'm going to do my first direct procurement. I want a mechanic that comes with recommendation, that works. I found one, contacted my network. I said, I need one mechanic. I need to start looking into these trucks because I need to know if they are roadworthy. And I want also tracking devices. All the trucking companies have it. Why doesn't BAMB has? There is one there, but it's not being looked. I don't even know the status. I need to look into that. But doesn't control fuel, doesn't control the routes. So I want everything, but it takes time. I give a direct instruction. The person who is receiving the instruction has the audacity to tell me that's not the way that should be done. And out of a solution that could have been out in 24 hours, took me 3 weeks. And then I call in the Department of Human Resources. And then, no, it's not like that. You understand? Those are my daily challenges. I invite any of you, spend 16 hours one day with me, and you will see the curveballs that is coming to my desk. So decisions have to be made in minutes so we stop the bleeding. This is the reason that we are sitting with shops with no stock. I cannot put any stock there and not have control. The system is not integrated with finances. The financial system still doesn't give me the reports that I need as a CEO. Everything comes in spreadsheets. Everything delays. several businesses, competition. Let me tell you, there is a number of businesses in this country that thrive with a weak BAMB, because BAMB is supposed to be the strongest agribusiness in the country. Having a BAMB that's leaking, having a BAMB with no controls, having a BAMB with problems from left to right, has benefited a lot of businesses. So, when you have a body that's bleeding, what you do, you stop. You find a way to close the hole with the best piece of cloth that you can find, and this is what I've done. I have been communicating with in cabinet briefs. There is nothing that I haven't done that is not communicated in cabinet briefs, that's not communicated with the minister and PS. We have a fantastic PS that is giving me all support that I need, the minister as well, the office of the president as well. Whoever needs to know my actions, I inform firsthand. I do not ask permission, I just inform. Last week, with the video that circulated, I sent a letter to all staff members stating the critical situation of BAMB. Staff members are not happy. They haven't been happy in years. They have been neglected, they have been forgotten. There are staff members without chairs to sit in their branches. They are resentful. So those are the realities. We need to build up them. We need to offer them conducive places to work. We need to give them the rules of the game and how we want to be receiving information back. So, and I think the last, no, there are two. With regards to the payment of to the bank, we need to sell the grain. So between Access Bank and BAMB, we have hired a third-party company called CMI, the Collateral Management International, to monitor the exit of the grain to the buyer. So when that buyer pays BAMB, the money is collected in a special bank account. But let's talk business here. Why have farmers been selling grain directly to millers and not to BAMB in the past few years? Because BAMB doesn't have money. So when you have millions of pullers in loan, between the seasonal loan, private banks, and your own cash flow, what do? You have to make money. But even though, if we see the history, farmers have been selling grain to BAMB and selling grains to millers. But last year, the timing was wrong, but there is a restriction now in place that the key grains must be sold to BAMB. We had 2 weeks ago, farmers came to visit BAMB, and they asked one question. Is BAMB prepared to pay us on time this year when the crop comes out? No, BAMB is not yet. But they remain, I had a call yesterday, they remain committed to delivering the grain and respecting the restriction that's in place. But it's up to BAMB now find the funds to pay them in time. We cannot allow the same mistakes that have been happening in the past years to repeat now. We cannot allow farmers of any size, small, medium, or large, to receive payment only 9 months after delivery of the grain. With regards to Brazil, yes. The solutions for the problems that we have here, agriculture-wise, from cattle to grain, to fruits to horticulture, already exist. We have a group of we have the strongest co-ops in the world sitting that side. There's a group of farmers that I have been in contact. They are coming to visit South Africa and Zambia. They are the heads of the largest co-ops of Brazil coming, and they want to meet me. They want to meet with the Ministry of Agriculture and PS. The solutions already exist. Botswana is a piece of Brazil. We have the same savanna. This Brazilian savanna is the same as the Botswana savanna. We are producing wheat that side. Why are we not producing here? Farmers that side are finishing cattle in 10 hectares with water and the right grass. They are finishing about 800 heads of cattle in 10 hectares. Why are we not doing this here? So the solutions for our problems already exist. We just need to think about it outside the box, make the right connections, look for the right solutions, and roll it. And I think, and with regards to the alignment with BETP and the NEDB 12, sir, I believe that all the actions taken in 126 days are in alignment already with, but it's not in the format that we expect, in a paper format with all the metrics. But this is a priority, and as soon as the board is there, working, is going to be one of the top assignments.
Yeah.
I hope I have answered.
Yeah. Hey, it means BAMB is a nightmare from what you just alluded.
Tell me, sir.
Yeah. Honorable Arrows.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, CEO of BAMB. From my understanding, looks like BAMB it's a one person's show. CEO without senior management helping to run the business, because to me, some of these answers or these questions could be answered if management were coming together to find solutions. Maybe with regard to grain, to understand what quantity and value of grain stock loss occurred during the spoilage that you've been talking about due to poor storage, expiration, and unexplained inventory variances. And what system are used to reconcile grain you receive, stored, dispatched, and sold? I've been made to understand that some of the grains that appears to have been bought are still nowhere to be found, somewhere still in the farmers. How do you control that? To have a system that really makes sure that you have all this, and maybe, to say, one moment, please. I've got two papers here, sorry. Yeah. Okay. Next is to get to understand can the executive provide metrics showing each outstanding audit recommendation from the last 3 years and its occurring status, and the specific officers responsible for its closure. Why did the institution historically struggle to implement audit recommendations? And what structural changes have been made to ensure that the Audit General's findings are treated as mandatory directives rather than suggestions?
Could you repeat the last question, please?
Why did the institution historically struggle to implement audit recommendations? And what structural changes have been made to ensure that the Auditor General's findings are treated as mandatory directives rather than suggestions. Next. What were the specific findings regarding the fuel management and fleet maintenance irregularities, and what has been the recovery rate of funds lost to these systematic inefficiencies? And you talk of fleet. How many trucks do you run? Which, okay, still writing. And which specific strategic contracts and legal obligations have been identified for termination or renegotiation, and have these been referred to law enforcement?
Are you done?
And also, we've been talking of BAMB and how it benefits the country with the buying of grains and distribution. But you've talked very little about the livestock side, except the gentleman when he was just mentioning about that. Because from my understanding now, BAMB has become a full agricultural center for both grain and animals, because there are certain areas in Botswana that do not do well in farming, grain farming, but they are doing very well in animal animal or livestock farming. Yes. How do you make sure that you run this too effectively? For instance, to mention, you mentioned of 40 branches. I believe is those retail shops. How long is it going to take for you to keep the cloth? Because it's very embarrassing, terrible, horrible. Even here in Gaborone, your shops are empty. And I must say to you, as you have mentioned, other businesses, those agri-something, are benefiting because the organization that Botswana trusted for so many years is no longer servicing them. I'm coming from Gumare, and I can tell you that's the only agri shop that we have. And I thought it was only there. I got here and I found it's exactly that. It's not a personal thing, but it's the Botswana opinion. Because I can reassure you, Botswana first would go to BAMB before they would go to any other shop. So if other shops can flourish that much, that is to say there is a lot, or there is good market, business is there. How long is it going to take for you to turn around this retail shop to be as Botswana expect them to be? Yes. And with regard to the loan, I believe since you say as much, you were part of the management that organized this loan. Truly, how are you going to pay this? I'm very worried. And I'm very, very worried to say, if you are not selling, you are buying grain, and all goes into spoilage, as you've been mentioning already. How are you going to pay the loan? Is it not that next year, you're going to be here telling us that you are BAMB is in liquidation?
Thank you. We decided.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable.
Thank you very much. This is not a one-woman show. for the record. This is one woman working very hard to fix what has been done wrong in the past. Some of the answers are not going to be as straightforward as I'm giving to this committee. So that is the reason that I took upon myself to bring clarity to certain details that would not have been clarified here openly in the way that I put it. But with regards to that, I'm going to pass on to the audit, the internal audit and the heads of both departments, in order to explain to us how the reconciliation of the grains is done and which systems we use.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Member. Thank you, CEO. In terms of the reconciliation of stock, as the CEO has previously highlighted, we have, or there have been challenges in terms of management of inventory. What management previously did is to, for example, taking a case in point, the prior harvest, what management put in place was because there was management figured that we cannot rely on the systems or the current systems that were there. The relevant department, what then it did is that through the assistance of the internal audit department, put in extra controls in making sure that there are two systems that were recording grain. The first system being the accounting system that exists at the different depots where grain is received, and then the alternative control or the extra control was the spreadsheet that management took an initiative to introduce to make sure that as and when a grain is received, it gets recorded. The challenge that was that then came through that we noted as at the end of the receipt of inventory was really that the employees at the said depots were not up to date in terms of recording such inventory, and that is why there are variances as highlighted. Another major issue that must be highlighted is that there is no, as CEO has previously said, there is no instrument. When the new silos were done, they were not put a new, a device or a monitoring device for measuring the grain levels or at the inventory levels. So the issues of the systems that management every now and then tries to put extra controls to do is what the major challenges are, as highlighted by the CEO. I think one might also want to take advantage as well and speak to the concern that the member is raising in terms of where we are in terms of our capacity to be able to pay off the loan. It is a concern, and the right question is being asked in terms of when the cloth is going to be put off so that the organization can start operating to generate revenue and be able to meet its obligation, solely and specifically in terms of repayment of the loan, because it's a great concern. On Friday we had a preparatory meeting for this sitting as the CEO and the available members of the executive committee, and that is really our biggest worry. We currently don't have an answer. We don't have an answer to that, and it's a serious concern, Chair and members, because 269 million worth of government asset has been put as a security against that loan, and we risk losing such assets, government-owned assets, if we are not able to meet the obligation or the installment of the loan, which is due on the 30th of June, which is in about 6 weeks time. And currently, with the loan installment of expected of 68 million, the organization has only been able to raise about 2 billion, which is a serious concern. asking ourselves if we'll be able to raise the 66 million when we have failed to raise even half in the period that we have. And largely because as CEO has alluded, we have put they've been a stop to operations which are income generating with the concerns or control issues as highlighted by the CEO. But we need to get to a point where we say the organization must start running, the organization must start produce or generating revenue so that the organization is able to meet its obligation. Chair and members, currently the organization, we have fixed operational expenditure of about 12 million, which if we are not meeting revenue, the question arises, how are you paying for those? Salaries are being paid, people are sitting, drivers are sitting, they are not doing anything. And beyond drivers, the member just alluded to that, the shops are empty. That means not even drivers are alone, but even those that are in the shops supposed to be selling, because the shops are empty, there is nothing to sell. We need to get to a point where the business management has got an answer to this and say, starting from this, we have done enough damage control. We're at a point where now we need to get the business to running. Thank you, members and chair.
Thank you, Chair and members. I think for me, as the internal auditor, in terms of the grain stock control environment, just like my colleague have indicated, as a country, we have been struggling a lot in terms of measuring what we have in the silos, because we are using laser or a manual laser. So our view and the internal audit reports that we have presented to the relevant authorities, we have always been uncomfortable with the measuring tool. And when the new silos were constructed, the same mistake happened for the new silos. It's something that we have brought to the attention of the relevant authorities, and I believe there's a new project that is being done to close that gap. And if it happens that there are control gaps, like my colleague have said, we proposed what we call compensating controls. We said we are aware that this laser, when we measure what is in the silos, it doesn't give the correct quantities. Let us do compensating controls. And we designed a tool from internal audit to say, let us use this compensating control. Like my colleague have said, the controls, they are there, colleagues. First, they have to exist. Second, are they adequate? Third, are they effective? So if they are not effective or they are not adequate, sometimes we do what we call compensating controls. I think in terms of the grain, I think I've addressed my member there. But to ride on what my colleague has indicated here, Chair, we have stayed for almost 6 months without the board. As an internal auditor, if there is no board, my hands are tied. You have heard the CEO. She has, I would say she has decided to, because of the inadequate control environment, she has said, we are stopping buying stock. I've had discussions with her several times. She and I have agreed that we have a different view on that one. Because if we don't buy stock, how are we going to survive as a business? It's something that we have discussed with my CEO. But going back, Chair, to the fact that we don't have the board for a period of almost 6 months, I would say as an internal auditor, my hands are very tied. There is a lot that I need to engage the board around how we can turn around the business. So I believe that with the appointment of the board, I will have enough time to spend with the board and engage on how we are going to turn around the business. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, I didn't get the quantity and the value of grain stock that we lose through spoilage and poor storage and expiration and that.
I don't think, Honorable Member, we have, it's there, but I don't think we have it now. I don't know. It's something that maybe we can provide at a later stage. Thank you.
Yeah, I've got a question before I give the Accountant General. How does BAMB intend to store the grains to make sure that they do not get spoiled going forward? And what guarantee do you have that will show that you are on top of your game?
The second question?
What guarantee does BAMB have that will prove to us or prove beyond any doubt that you are on top of your game?
I just want to go back to the stocking and running a business as has been questioned. And I will request Maboipelo to help me here. Currently we still need to pay 66 million of the current suppliers that haven't received money from payments from BAMB for 24 months. We have been selling the consignment stock, using the revenue to pay our bills, as I mentioned initially. According to the Public Procurement Act, certain things need to be following a formula. And before I put my signature in any payment, I am checking every single piece of paper, because my name is not going to be drained to the dirt. It's 30 years of career and it's not for sale. And I say, if I'm doing something wrong, I need to be fired. Right now, I am acting on survival mode. So, going back to the 66 million pula that we own suppliers, we have suppliers that we need to pay 10, 11, 5, 6 million. I don't know how the procurement of these products have been done. I am not going to sign easily a check of that amount. So I'm going to ask Maboipelo to come in and explain what is our plan to sit down around the table, engage from procurement to finance, to validate the documents. In the absence of following the act, the need for affidavits, the need for reports, mitigation actions before payment can be done. I am not continuing capital letters. Whatever wrong was done in the past. So yes, this process is taking far too long, because last week on Wednesday or Thursday, we spent 2 hours only to talk about a 39,000 pula service that we need to pay, because quotations were not done right and the invoice was 15,000 more than what was quoted for. So if every time that I get one payment and discuss for 2 hours what needs to be done and what hasn't been done, and engaging from the officer of procurement to the finance, is going to take a year. If that is not good enough, I am open for suggestion. every single action, every single transaction that has been found irregular, we have reported to the CEC, DIS, and even the Serious Crimes Squad. So it takes time. People are not open to receive for meetings in the moment that you are available. So the idea is we finish the reconciliation of the 66 million, we make payments because the same suppliers need to supply us with new stock. They are not going to give us new stock if we don't pay them first. And I'm not going to pay them if the paperwork, if the procedures were not followed and mitigation measures were not taken. We have about, 30 suppliers that we need to pay. 24 suppliers to pay. So, Boipelo, please, I would like you to give your word on the state of procurement that BAMB is in, and feel free, please.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Chairperson. In relation to procurement, the first issue is that procurement at BAMB is understaffed. And then the previous procurement, like she has already said, there are a number of issues that we are reconciliating on, that we have reported to DCEC, to the police, and I think there's a light on the tunnel. We are getting there, but it's surely it's slow. As we know that if there are issues around the taxpayers' money, particularly in procurement, we need to investigate, and investigations takes time. But parallel to that, we have a procurement plan for 2026, 2027, that which we will be running in parallel with the previous issues that were there. So I think with the plan for 2026, 2027, like the members were asking, when are we starting to procure? When are we starting to stock? That is, we are already working on. So I take it that with the new board coming in, they will help with the recruitment of the positions, including the one that I have been delegated on. I'm the Director of Procurement Oversight for the Ministry, but I'm delegated because they don't have the procurement oversight, which was against the Public Procurement Act. So I take it that the moment the board reports, all in relation to procurement will move swiftly. I thank you.
So going back to the need of restocking for livestock, I am very aware of the impact of the actions. But how can you restock a business if the stock system is not in place or adequate? Am I going to be giving more to a system that is draining in another side? I do not know how to do it differently. Unless we start doing things right, there are huge risks here. Let me say something else. I am trying to get a meeting with the PS of local government for the past now 4 weeks, because the tender for the Tsabana and Mulutu was cancelled in December. Now the expression of interest came out. 5 companies have been shortlisted, and whoever applies for the tender needs to buy grain for the Tsabana and Mulutu. But never in the history of this tender was put there that the grain must be purchased from BAMB. That only already guarantees 20,000 tons of grain coming out of BAMB silos. So it's fixing all the system that will allow us to sell the grain to the off-takers in the country, that will bring in the money in to pay partially the loan that we have. It's following the rules of the Public Procurement Act in making this payment of 66 million in order to have the stock back. Unless you cleared me saying, Lilia, you can sign 66 million now, I will, and put stock for next week, great, let's go for it. I don't have all the answers, sirs, madam. I don't have it. If I am on top of my game, I want to believe that I am. But there will be people who will defer to that, and that there is nothing that I can do about it. With the limited resources, lack of support from a larger body like the board, having compromised systems, and it's a complicated answer for me to give. Am I on top of my game? I want someone to answer that for me, because I want to believe that I am.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair. I just wanted to ask, in regards to the trade debtors, your receivables, the debtors.
Okay.
That much as we appreciate the creditors, yes. Looking at the records here, you don't seem to be doing well also in debt collection. Maybe just to appreciate what are the issues.
Okay.
Because expectation would be that you'd be collecting those debts so that you meet the outstanding payments in this regard.
Thank you very much. I forgot about to mention that.
Thank you very much.
With regards to the debtors, we have a new head of legal. She started the same day as I did. One of her, I think the first task that she did was to look into that. We learned that about 48 million pula was still to be recovered. We called in Mitching and Kelly. And Perro, please, I will ask you to jump in if I don't give the complete picture. 48 million pula waiting to be collected. We called in Mitching and Kelly. They are the attorney company that was hired by BAMB in 2023 to help in the collection of these debts. In a meeting with them, we put very clearly on the table, out of 48 million, by February, if I'm not mistaken, the amount that they had recovered or managed to negotiate was the equivalent of 6%. The three accounts that owes the most to BAMB, one comes from a certain company that's owing BAMB only alone, 27 million. And then we go to that story. This such company was allowed by BAMB to collect grains from Pitsani over a period of time with no guarantees, no bank guarantee, no. So until now, they received the grains and they didn't pay BAMB. On the other hand, Mitching and Kelly sat on that situation for now 3 years and no action has been taken. So I was very clear to them. I said, well, either Mitching and Kelly is doing extremely well in that collection because they receive commission with other accounts that's worth much more than us, or they are running a losing game here because they have 48 million to recover and commission to get from that, and they are not doing the work. So the past 2 months and a half, the head of legal has been liaising with them and with finances as well to reconcile whatever needs to be reconciled. And I'm going to leave now for Ms. Beho to go ahead and give details. But this is another legacy issue that we are trying to bring order to.
Thank you, Chair. I think just to add on to what the CEO have said, in summary, recovery rates have been very low since assigning the debt portfolio to Minchin and Kelly in 2023. Upon assuming office this year, I, together with the head of finance, have undertaken a comprehensive review of the debt book with a view to reconciling, because what emerged from the meeting with the attorneys, external attorneys, was that in a number of the debts, there was need to reconcile the amounts. What appeared in their books was very different from what appeared in our books. I also engaged them extensively with a view to coming up with a legal strategy to be able to recover and prioritize the debts. In some of the cases, we had to initiate legal action to rescind or set aside some of the judgments that were obtained against BAMB, where, for instance, it was due to a technical oversight or a procedural matter. In other words, where really BAMB should not have lost that case. So we have sought to rescind these judgments with a view to, if successful, resuscitating the matters. This will allow us, of course, to, as I said, resuscitate the matter and start the matter afresh and be in a position to recover the amounts that are owed. I would also say, Mr. Chair, that in a number of cases, what also is very clear is that because of the weak infrastructure that has been there due to legacy issues, we've been unable to recover, largely also because of the weak drafting of contracts, where you find indemnity provisions and limitation of liability clauses are poorly drafted, which obviously weakens recovery rates for BAMB. Internally also, I think poor monitoring of contracts has also been one of the factors that results in us losing cases before the courts or being unable to recover. Because if you have a weak case, it'll be very difficult for you to develop a sound claim and put together your application before the court if you don't have a strong evidentiary documentation. So we have that challenge, but we have undertaken from January to prioritize recovery of these debts. We've committed internally to the CEO as well as to management that we will improve recovery. What we've also done is to closely monitor the external attorneys, because we've given them very clear instructions and very clear targets. So we are now getting weekly reports from them. We are sitting down with them, as I said earlier, to come up with a different legal strategy. Also looking at the priority of each case, especially given the magnitude of the amounts owed. The CEO mentioned earlier that in a single matter, you have a debtor owing BAMB from 2020 or 2021 in excess of 10 million pula. That is untenable and needs to be corrected immediately. So we are, Mr. Chair, aggressively pursuing the recovery of debts at BAMB. Internally, we are also trying to ensure that we assist departments to be able to draft much more sound contracts. So there's strengthened review processes internally that we've been doing to ensure that every single contract that comes out does not escape our office or goes through our hands. Unfortunately, I'm the only one in the department, and there's immense opportunity to improve what has been done and to correct the wrongs that have happened in the past. I take it once the board is in place, we will ensure that we put much more stringent mechanisms as approved by the board at strategic level. But in large part, these are operational matters that can be addressed internally. Thank you, Chair. I'll stop there for now.
Thank you. Honorable Kwapa.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. I now go back to the original question that I asked before, to say, Madam CEO, in spite of the energy that you want to put forward, as well as your legal team, do you still maintain that you still want to continue with the staff that you find at BAMB? Thank you.
Wait, I think let's take the last one then. No, there's the last one from the Auditor General. Let me.
Thank you, Chair. Mine is a follow-up to Honorable Aaron's question regarding the loan, because the response we got from the Finance Director is that by Friday you were actually doubtful if you'll be able to repay it in time. And my question comes in because he also stated that you've pledged the government assets as collateral. So I'm just wondering, whether, because I believe you had projections before you obtained the loan. What has changed? I hear the CEO saying she has put on hold some of the revenue generating activities, just to find out if that decision to put on hold the revenue generating activities was prior to obtaining the loan or after obtaining the loan, so that we can maybe understand why now, after projections and convincing the lender that you'll be able to pay off the loan by June. Mm-hmm. I also wanted to ask if whether there was a requirement or it wasn't a requirement for you to get approvals before pledging the government assets of such amount. Mm-hmm. And also if you have any thoughts of engaging the lender on some sort of a restructuring or extension of the repayment, because we would not want now where you know how the economy is, and I don't think government can afford to bail out such, just to find out what you are doing, and if possible, if you have any cash flow projections for the next, I don't know how long, a year or two, that could at least allay fears on the members regarding the repayment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The first question. I don't want to continue with some of the stuff that I have. Second, with regards to the loan.
Honest.
Actually, we can't. I can't. Second, about the loan. Yes, ma'am. We have, which the change happened, I think, 15 days before. The generation of income, when I put everything on hold, was 15 days before. It was the month that we signed the documents. It was not foreseen. Last Friday, we had this conversation internally, and one of the things that I mentioned that was not highlighted is that I intend to engage with the bank as soon as possible to see what we can do before it's too late. I am not the type of professional that waits for the last minute of the second half of the game to raise the red flag and say, I cannot pay. No, it's not the way that I work. The negotiations with the bank started before I arrived, and it was pre-approved by the past board. Projections, and I will leave Head of Finance to give more details on that, was done prior to my arrival. We had to work, in order to get this loan, the Ministry of Finance, the government of Botswana had to sign very strong documents in order to give the guarantees that the bank was requesting. BAMB did not have another option, and we are very grateful that Access Bank stood to the task, because no other bank in the country, as they said, had appetite for BAMB. So based on that, I take things sorry. I take things quite personally, especially when my signature goes into a contract of that magnitude. So a solution will be found. I really believe that you accept the problem, because the problem is one, but the solution is a spectrum. So the concentration goes on where the solution is. So I really believe that we are going to do the right thing, approach the bank, and see what can be done. Also, the engagement with local government is going to be necessary, because the tender, as I mentioned, one of the largest tender in that, with the requirement of grains in bulk, is available. So sorry.
No, I'm saying these workers are giving you headaches. It's painful.
I talk an average of 10 hours a day. So I will leave now for the head of finance to speak with regards to the cash flow projections. But I anticipate, yes, there has been a change, but I believe that a solution is coming. I'm focusing on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, CEO. I didn't get Auditor General's name, so I'll just say Auditor General. In terms of how we were able to get the loan from Access Bank, is that we worked on a comprehensive business plan, and from the tone, I was sat with the previous board, and the support that we're getting from Ministry of Lands and Agriculture was largely based on BAMB being an aggregator. So if you look at how the loan is structured, it's structured with BAMB being an aggregator. But I think with the change of leadership, then that means that tone and the focus is somewhere else, instead of where at that point it was envisaged that during the calendar year 2026, BAMB will be focused on making sure that all the provisions of the BAMB Act are adhered to, in terms of BAMB being the player that gets grain from the farmer, or the player that brings grain from outside the country and then supplying the millers. So that has since changed. You had a CEO earlier, because I think in terms of the misalignment is her thinking where BAMB must come in when BAMB is not financially sound. Can you be an aggregator when you are not financially sound? But at the time, in terms of the law, it provided support from the government. With the issuing of the directive from 2023, the issuing of the public notice that was done last year, and the announcements therein made by Mr. President that BAMB will be an aggregator, we built the business plan from that perspective, and the projections were supported by the model that was put in place. And these projections were not largely on the grain that we got from farmers, but on the grain, especially the white maize that we buy, that is being bought from South Africa. We buy, I think, at least 240,000 metric tons of white maize, and that is being brought into the country through by millers, when in actual fact it should be by BAMB. And what we had agreed with the bank is that bank was going to be making money through the coming in of especially the white maize, through purchase order financing or the letter of credit. So if you look at the documentation therein that supported, and why in fact the bank gave us the money, it was built on that business plan, which is available, and the financial projections therein, or the cash flow projections therein that supported the model that it was based on. But I think for me, we need to first go into that, to go back to the original paper. If we are no longer following that, we need to find another means that would support BAMB to be able to pay off the loan. Because the greatest risk here, as you put it, Auditor General, is that if we default, then the government assets that have been put forward are at a risk. But like we said, we had a conversation in-house on Friday. I do believe that what we actually even said to the CEO, the member here, Aaron earlier had said that it seems like it's a one person only steering the boat. But we did have a conversation with the CEO, posing the risks that we said. We understand her challenge in terms, Honorable Aaron, in terms of where she is. We actually said to her, I actually said to her, I would like to meet your mind in terms of where you want to take the business. She's very passionate, as you can see, but we just need to come to board and understand where she wants to get the business to. We understand the inefficiencies, the legacy problems, but that should not stop us from moving the business forward. And I think we are to a greater extent aligning, and we do hope that we will find common ground and move forward and take BAMB where it's supposed to be. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, members.
Thank you.
Just to complement, the business model is sound. In order to make the magnitude of money that we need scale. But we cannot, if we are failing to manage 40,000 tons of grain, how are we going to fail in bringing so much more? If the controls are not in place, if the monitoring systems are not in place, if the reports are not in place, how can we dare making commitments on billions? So, the thing is, I was fortunate to work for big companies with good systems. I don't know, I haven't learned how to operate from a corrupted system. So what I try every day is to put the best and the highest standards of work. I only know how to work that way. So when you say, let's do this, but the system is not in order, if that control is not in order, if I don't have the report coming from this side, if I don't know where the grain is coming, if I don't see the truck moving from A to B, how dare I engage with the local off-takers who are running serious businesses, and BAMB is going to enter into their largest supply channel, and say, no, I'm going to provide you so many tons of white maize, but I cannot use my trucks. I don't have monitoring over that. How dare I can do that? So here is me being real, raw and real. I do not know, and maybe, and I even mentioned, maybe I'm not the right person for this job. Because I don't know how to work from a system that's not working. So I'm trying to, I see myself in the following picture. Imagine a train running in constant speed, upwind, but the pieces are falling apart. And there is this one mechanic or two mechanics or three mechanics trying to tighten the screws while in movement. This is BAMB. So I think the potential for BAMB to make money, to transform, to become this aggregator is there, 100%. And would be there if Pitsani silos were not decommissioned. I think we would have stood a bigger chance now, because grains would come from South Africa, would lift up, would use the Pitsani silos as a stop place, and from there you distribute, and then you top up and you distribute. You top up, you distribute. But we don't even have that. So we will need to get from the source, deliver straight to the off-taker. For that, I need a logistics, strong logistics team, procurement and logistics. Do I have at the moment? Big no. So I think it's being honest, it's going to the bank, saying, oh, the business plan is sound, but we are still fixing ABC to reach to that level. What are our options? And in the meantime, look for the alternatives, because money is around, investors are around, solutions are around, but we need to concentrate on that. But sometimes I'm taken into looking at the micro instead of giving attention to the strategic side. So I close here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Hopefully next time we meet you, there won't be any problems, corruption. We'll just be flowing on progressive stuff.
From
Now,
your lips to God's ears.
Yeah, I would like to give Honorable Kwape to give a vote of thanks and close the session for today.
No, sir, 111.
Vote of thanks, not 1-1, just closing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for giving me this opportunity to thank those that appeared before us today. Honestly, I can say thank you very much for the honest answers that you've given us today. It is the first time now we are getting such honest answers, and for you to be coming, energized, want you to change things. I think that is the way we want things done, and that is the right direction. Will not even hesitate to ask the chairman to maybe think of calling the former CEOs of BAMB to come and account, because basically, for you to be accounting today for only the few months that you spent with BAMB, I mean, there's really nothing that I can safely say that nothing wrong that you've done. But maybe those that were here before you should come tell us why they allowed all these things to happen the way they happened, because I think we wouldn't be talking the way we are talking today. And we are looking forward for getting good answers to say we want BAMB to be doing the way it's supposed to be doing, performing to its full mandate. So I'll just give that to Mr. Chairman to really consider that, so that we can see that things are changed. And thank you so much for giving us honest answers once again. And we'll be looking forward to hearing good news next time. So thank you so much. And I think, having said that, Mr. Chairman, the session for today will be coming to an end. And what more can I say? God be with you. Thank you so much. All right.
Thank you.
Closing prayer.